Climbing Mount Everest has always been seen as the ultimate test for humans. Weeks of acclimatizing, nights in freezing tents, and step after painful step through the death zone. But not everyone is willing to follow the old path. In the last few years, a new kind of climber has appeared. One that bends, skips, and sometimes flat out breaks the rules just to get to the top faster, cheaper, or in a more spectacular way. Their stories are wild, controversial, and honestly fascinating. So let me take you through them one by one. Our first story takes us to May 2023, high up on Everest at Camp 2, almost 6,000 meters above sea level. Up here, most climbers are just trying to survive. One man, Darren Verlogan from the US, had something entirely different planned. Instead of sitting in a tent to rest, Darren unpacked a paraglider. Yes, a paraglider leapt off into the thin air, above glaciers and the deadly Khumbu icefall. It was daring, dramatic, and completely illegal. You see, Nepal has strict aviation rules around Everest. Any form of flying in the region requires a special permit, and Darren didn't have one. So what he did wasn't just a stunt, it was a violation of airspace law and was blacklisted from future expeditions. If Darren's leap shocked people, this next story is pure legend and 100% real. In 2011, two young Nepali men, Sano Babu Sunawar and Lakpa Cheri Sherpa, decided Everest summit was just the beginning. Their plan? Paraglide off the top of the world, then kayak nearly 500 miles to the Indian Ocean. They had no big sponsors, barely any gear, and opposite skill sets. Babu was a kayaker and paraglider who had never climbed Everest, while Lakpa was an Everest guide who couldn't swim. In just 42 minutes, they glided to Lhotse. Their epic feat earned them National Geographic's 2012 People's Choice Adventurers of the Year. Not for fame or money, but for living their dream and turning Everest into the starting point of one of the greatest adventures ever. Not all legendary climbs are about stunts or extreme adventures. Some are about pushing human limits in the face of rules and controversy. Take Lydia Brady, for example. In October 1988, she became the first woman to summit Mount Everest solo without supplemental oxygen, a feat that would have secured her a permanent place in mountaineering history. But there was a complication. She and her team had climbed an unauthorized route, breaking the agreement they had with the Nepalese authorities. Her climbing partners, who didn't reach the summit themselves, publicly denied her ascent to avoid penalties. Nepal even threatened her with a 10-year ban from Everest. Despite the backlash from parts of the climbing community, Lydia went on to continue her mountaineering career, guiding expeditions and summiting Everest multiple times legally.
I turned around and went down, but I didn't know if I had enough to link it all up, to go to the summit, turn around, come back down from the summit, because that's where the most technical climbing is. And a little point of difference, I have to say, is there were no...
4. In May 2018, climbers Willie Benegas and Matt Moniz made headlines by skiing 2,400 feet down the Lhotse face from Camp 3 to Camp 2. A dream they'd had for years. The problem? They only had climbing permits, not the special ski permit Nepal requires, which includes a $1,000 fee, a garbage deposit, and a liaison officer to monitor the descent. When Benegas posted the video online, Nepal's Department of Tourism opened an investigation, even considering canceling their Everest and Lhotse permits and fining their expedition agency. But the climbing community rallied behind them, gathering over 150 signatures asking for leniency. The government eventually called it an innocent mistake, issued a small fine, about $461, and allowed them to continue their climbs. By 2023, Everest wasn't just a mountain, it had become a stage for some of the wildest scandals in mountaineering. Take the case of Elite Exped, the guiding company co-founded by celebrity climber Nirmal Nims Purya. They were accused of pulling off an illegal move by using permits for a smaller peak, Lingtrin, while allegedly leading a team to the summit of Everest itself. If true, it meant bypassing Everest's expensive permit system. Nims denied the allegations, but questions lingered. Why were climbers with Lingtrin permits spotted at Everest Base Camp? And where was the official Everest summit documentation? Nepal's tourism ministry opened an investigation, but many suspect internal pressure kept the scandal quiet. 6. Then came a case that went from online sleuthing to international headlines. In 2016, Indian climber Narendra Singh Yadav proudly claimed he had summited Everest, even posting photos that won him awards back home. But the internet noticed something odd. His summit flag looked fake. Investigators later confirmed the photos were doctored. Narendra's summit certificate was revoked. He was banned from climbing in Nepal for 6 years, and his reputation was destroyed. But in 2022, Narendra came back, this time with GPS tracking, verified photos, and a successful real summit. He finally earned the title he once faked. But the scandal raised a bigger question. How many other fake summits had gone unnoticed? Everest is known for testing endurance, but sometimes the mountain also exposes the tension between ambition and bureaucracy. 7. If you think money and permits caused tension on Everest, wait until you hear about Ueli Steck in 2013. The Swiss alpinist preparing for an Everest expedition found himself in one of the most terrifying situations of his career. Steck, along with Italian climber Simone Moro and British photographer Jonathan Griffith, was ascending the Lhotse face to acclimatize. But there was a problem. A team of Sherpas was already busy fixing ropes on the route, essential for other climbers' safety. Steck and his team thought it would be fine to go ahead since they wouldn't be using the ropes. But the Sherpas saw it as disrespectful and dangerous. Arguments erupted, tempers flared, and the situation quickly escalated into a violent confrontation. Despite the severity of the incident, no formal bans or fines were imposed on the climbers. The Nepalese Tourism Ministry described the attack as a misunderstanding that had been resolved.
I'm sorry. Yes. Please, no violence.
Things I never thought I would ever see in my whole entire life were happening in front of me. The Sherpa, in my interactions with them, they're not confrontational, they don't like...
Now, not every Everest story is about daring feats or extreme stunts. Some are about ambition gone too far. 8. In 2016, an Indian couple, Dinesh and Tarakeshwari Rathod, claimed they had conquered Mount Everest. They shared summit photos online, and at first, it seemed like a proud moment of achievement. But mountaineering experts quickly noticed something was off. The backgrounds didn't match known summit landmarks, and the positioning in the photos seemed suspicious. Further investigations confirmed that they had never actually reached the summit. The images were digitally altered to fake their accomplishment. The consequences were severe. Nepalese authorities slapped a 10-year climbing ban on both of them, barring any future expeditions in Nepal, including Everest. And there you have it, a glimpse into the wild, risky, and sometimes controversial world of Everest climbers. In May 2001, French snowboarder Marco Siffredi became the first person to descend Mount Everest on a snowboard, making history. But in September 2002, he returned, determined to ride the more dangerous Hornbein Couloir, Everest's holy grail of snowboarding. This time he climbed without permits and conditions were deteriorating. Despite warnings from Sherpas, Marco began his descent late in the day. As a storm rolled in, the Sherpas lost sight of him. They later saw what they thought was a figure but found no tracks, only deep snow and silence. Marco Siffredi was never seen again. His body and snowboard remain lost on Everest, and his final ride became one of the mountain's most haunting disappearances. These stories serve as a powerful reminder that ethics and credibility are just as important as skill and endurance. Chasing fame or recognition can tempt some climbers into dangerous shortcuts, but at the end of the day, Everest always sees through every lie. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible adventure stories, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment down below which Everest story shocked you the most.